how would you like 1 to 2 months of free electricity every single year? Curious? I mean, I know you must be thinking, how is that even possible? Well, my business partner, Cliff Spenger, was so intrigued by this system that he went out and interviewed Aviv Shalgi, co-founder and CEO of Solar Simplified. So make sure you stick around all the way to the end as Aviv explains how his software not only saved his customers over $80,000 in 2021, but also allowed solar developers to increase their revenue while decreasing their risks and putting money back in the consumer's pockets. I mean, sounds like a win-win all around.
Aviv Shalgi, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Could you give a quick summary of Solar Simplified and what you do?
Sure. So Solar Simplified is a software startup in the solar energy space. Started the company 2 years ago with my co-founders. And the thing that we're building is an online platform to help connect consumers on one side with solar power plants that are local to their area on the other side. But the actual product looks like a coupon on your utility bill. So it's a negative line item that reduces how much you're supposed to pay your utility every month. Mm-hmm. The size of the discount depends on how much sunlight we're getting on the solar panels. So summer months, more sunlight means a larger discount. Winter months, a little bit of a smaller discount.
Wonderful. So that kind of matches the air conditioning use to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. There's also some areas of the country where you have very high bills in the winter too.
I live in
with electrical heating.
Right.
But winter is not necessarily a bad thing. Some states have very dry winters, which means it's cold, but it's still sunny, which is good for us.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's very interesting. Could you tell me the mission of Solar Simplified?
Sure. I mean, the goal and what we started with when we started the company 2 years ago, that was the early days of COVID. And when we were kind of brainstorming on ideas of which company to start and what problem we're going to try to solve, one of the things that we wanted to do was to help people save money. A lot of people in early COVID days, even though it was 2 years ago and some people are trying to forget how it was, a lot of people were getting furloughed, laid off, businesses were closing. And what we were trying to do was figure out how we can help people save money. And what we found was that we know how to do that while promoting renewable energy and green energy, and also the creation of more local jobs, which is very important, especially in rural areas of each and every state. And so kind of those two together, in my mind, are the mission of what we're doing. We're trying to help boost more renewable, more local. That obviously helps also with resiliency of the electricity grid, so that you have less downtime, less blackouts, and things of that nature, but also while helping people save money.
Wonderful. And the choice about helping with the climate crisis for the people with their bill is a choice of money. And if you can make it a money deal, it's almost not a choice. They'll just
Exactly.
Excellent.
Exactly. There's a lot more people who care about saving in the world, unfortunately, than people who care about the climate.
Yes.
And so by combining these two together, we can now go to everybody, and not just the climate conscious side of the country.
Yes, yes, yes. That's wonderful. How did you get here?
I mean, my co-founders and I met in early 2020. And I think each of us got to this idea of Solar Simplified a little bit from a different angle. Personally, I completely by chance got to meet a bunch of solar developers who were in this space trying to figure out how to get to consumers, how to help consumers save money, things of that nature without them hurting their business model. And they were not sure how to do this because they are not necessarily tech people, like they're hardware. They know how to find the land and get the permits and do the construction. They are a very labor-intensive companies. And they're not necessarily the sales and marketing and customer support and billing and all of that side of the industry. So I heard a bunch of people complaining, managers or senior level managers in these types of companies. And I said to myself, well, I think I know how to solve this problem with some technology. So I went to talk to my co-founders, and they heard about the same types of problems from different angles. So we all kind of landed where we are right now.
That's excellent. It really is kind of like meeting them where the money is.
Right.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It's a very interesting business concept because nobody actually is paying for this. Developers are able to make more money by going to consumers because their other, let's call it the opportunity cost, their other opportunity is to go B2B to Fortune 500 companies. Fortune 500 companies will want a much deeper discount than what we can offer consumers. But I'm not here to help Fortune 500 companies save a little bit of money. It doesn't move their needle. It's not going to change their business. It changes significantly if a household can get 1 or 2 months of free electricity a year on average, depending how much sunlight there was. That could be $80, $100, even $200, depending on the size of your bill. That could be, it's not life-changing. Nobody is going to become suddenly rich from this. But it's going to a restaurant with your kids once or twice more a year. It could going to an amusement park or a movie or something like that. So it could be very helpful if you go to the consumer, which is exactly why we're here.
Well, that's wonderful. Is there a risk to the consumer? What if, could it be more expensive?
No.
So
think about it like a Groupon.
I get you.
You pay $90 and you get $100 with a Groupon. With a Groupon, but with a Groupon, you have to buy it before the transaction.
Right.
With us, we don't know how much solar it's going to be, how much sun there's going to be every month. So we wait for you to get the coupon. You get, let's say, $100. Then we reduce, our fee from it. Let's say $90, leaving you with a $10 discount that month.
Nice. So, what is your backstory before you came to this? Your background.
Sure. I hate saying this, but I am a serial entrepreneur. This is my 4th company. I served in the military for a couple of years, doing intelligence and space stuff. After I left the military, I went to college, electrical engineering. I worked as a hardware designer at Intel for a couple of years, and kind of decided that I love technology, I don't love coding. And so I switched over to the business side, did a little bit of consulting, and kind of started my entrepreneurship journey almost 10 years ago. So a couple of startups. I am Israeli, just moved to the US about 6 years ago. So first 2 companies were back in Israel. One is public on NASDAQ, the other one got acquired. And 6 years ago, as I mentioned, came here to go to business school in the University of Chicago. At that time, I started my previous company that did real estate or technology around pricing for real estate companies, basically, and trying to answer the question of how much should you charge for rent? If it doesn't matter if it's a complex or a hotel chain. And the answer is not always a higher amount. It's many times a lower amount, which is something that many people are not thinking about. So that was the previous startup here in the US, got acquired in late 2019. And switched over to the solar space and trying to help bring community solar and savings to the masses.
Wonderful. On the other hand, let's talk about Solar Simplified's position with the climate crisis, and what role does Solar Simplified play in response to it?
I mean, I would say, to be completely honest, we're not actually fighting the climate change, but we are helping solar developers who are building and deploying more solar throughout the country to increase their revenue while saving the end customer, saving them money. So by using our solution, solar developers actually make, as I mentioned, more money, but they are reducing their risk. Instead of selling everything that you generate to a corporation, to one buyer, and if there's at any point in time, there's some friction with that buyer that's, stirring the ship to the wrong direction, here we have, we're splitting, kind of almost like group buying, if you will. We're aggregating 1,000 households or 10,000 households into one project. And if somebody moves to, let's say, another state, they have to cancel their utility bill, that's fine. It's 1 out of 1,000, or 1 out of 10,000. It doesn't actually hurt the developer's business model. So we're able to increase their revenue while decreasing their risk. And for consumers, as I mentioned, it's a guaranteed savings product. We will never charge you more money. It's just a question, depending on how much sunlight there was, if you're going to get a little discount or a bigger discount.
Well, I think you're doing a lot for the climate crisis, because every single person you convert, because you'll be converting people, and everyone you convert is just another person who sees the benefit of using energy.
Yeah, but potentially, I would say we're trying not to push it too much, just because some people believe, or at least what we've been told from customer feedbacks, some people care more about the climate and the fact that it's renewable. Others care more that it's giving them the savings and generating more jobs. And I'm fine whichever way you want to pick us. That's totally fine. Whatever driver helps us move forward.
Everybody has the bill. Everybody has the line item. So that is really the commonplace.
Exactly.
That's where they all
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I do think, though, to kind of piggyback on your question a little bit, I do think that in the grand scheme of things, it is very helpful, because when solar developers make more money, they want to build more projects that drives more renewable in the country. When their competitors are seeing that they are successful, they want to build more projects and get a piece of that success. That helps drive, it's like a secondary mean, but helps drive the entire industry forward, so we could generate more solar, and potentially maybe down the road we'll do the same exact solution for other types of renewables too. I don't know. But it does help to drive the entire industry forward. Because companies are fighting on how, let's call it, on the customer's pocket, even though the customer is not paying for this.
So who is the perfect prospect for Solar Simplified?
You mean on the developer side?
No, on the consumer side.
Anybody who homeowners, renters, small business owners, they're all acceptable. We don't pick and choose. Anybody who pays a bill is capable of signing up.
That's a niche. Bill payers, that's a niche. It's a big niche, but it's a niche. And you know what? They all care. They all care about that line item.
Exactly. Right now, we are not nationwide, but we are growing. We're servicing most of the state of New York, parts of New Jersey, and here most of Illinois, where I'm at. But we're expanding to Maine and New Mexico and Michigan and Wisconsin and Mississippi and the Carolinas and many, many more states to come.
Well, you've told me where locationally, geographically, you'll be looking for customers, but where do you look for them? Do you know, marketing-wise, social media-wise?
Marketing? I mean, I would say we do a combination of offline and online. That's a little bit of the secret sauce. But I would say almost everywhere. The goal at the end of the day is to teach people that this is even possible. And if they pick us as the solution versus one of the competitors, there are a handful or maybe 2 handfuls of competitors out there, different geographies and different offers. But with us, first of all, it's about spreading the word that community solar, this type of a coupon style solution exists.
Mhm.
And if we're in the right territory and folks come over and decide to join us, that's wonderful. If they decide to join a competitor, that's okay too. We need more people to support community solar nationwide.
Well, if you have a competitor, it's really about who's going to give a better deal. And then the consumer wins out because they go, well, I'm going to save this much more money with this. They're giving me a better deal. So,
Right. So in the majority of the country where this exists, it's actually the same offer to the customer. There isn't a lot to play with,
right.
In terms of the pricing, mostly because of the laws of how the energy industry works. So we can't price differentiate. For example, everybody needs to get in the same territory. Everybody gets the same price in many states. I think the thing that does differentiate is the customer service. It's the service that you get, the quality of the service you're getting, versus the amount of, like, the discount amount. Some competitors can differentiate on price. Majority of them do not.
I see. So it really is. You have to differentiate on the customer service pretty much. Otherwise, you're just the same. I see. What's the biggest struggle with trying to market this program on social media or online?
It's something people don't know about. So it's very hard to show up with just a plain ad and tell people click here, because they have no idea what they're clicking about. I mean, the largest hurdle with, let's call it customer acquisition or marketing, is that this is a new program. And if people hear guaranteed savings, they start asking questions. They think that there's something about a scam here. There is no scam. This is a highly, highly regulated industry. It's monitored both by, the DOE's driving it forward from the federal government's angle, but many, many states have specific regulatory authorities to make sure that this is done well. But it's just an unknown niche in the energy industry that people are just not familiar with. So you have to go through customer education before you can actually sell them or pitch them your product. You have to convince them that there is a program to even think about.
Yeah, so it's education is the thing. Yeah, they have to find out what it's all about. What's been the biggest success so far?
I mean, I would say in 2021, we just calculated it a couple of months ago. We helped our customers save about $80,000 throughout 2021.
Wow.
It's a very big number. I'm hoping to at least double, if not triple it this year.
I was just going to ask you what your goals for this year, but you just told us double or triple.
I mean, my hope is to even go 5x this year. But
wonderful.
But with COVID and supply chains happening, the construction industry has taken a major hit, just with supplies that are running late and things that are happening. So hopefully we're getting out of the pandemic. But if we can double up or triple up, this year, I'll be very happy.
Wonderful. Well, I love the whole setup that you've got going with the coupon and the line item. It seems understandable, but people probably don't even like to look at their utility bill that much.
That's very true. That's very true. And I think one of the hurdles we get from new customers is to actually get them first time, 1 month after they've joined, open your bill, see that the coupon is there. See it for your own eyes. Don't just trust me for saying that. Open it, see how much you got that month. That's definitely, at least with some customers, it's a little bit of a struggle because people don't like opening that bill.
Right.
They have auto pay with the utility company.
Yeah.
You just know that it is.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
What's the number one tip you'd give anyone to market green business on social media?
I mean, I would definitely say focus on market education. People need to be educated first before you can actually do sales and marketing. Because, I mean, the entire industry is fairly new.
Yeah.
Green started, 40 years ago with its first solar panels came out. Nobody ever thought about hydro being renewable, even though we have Hoover Dam for, a lot of decades. And many other dams throughout the country and the world. But I think that the number one thing that at least companies like us need to figure out is, first of all, educate the customer on the market, and then try to explain to them what you do differently or what you do better than others. Because if you can't frame the problem that you're solving, you can frame it well and easily and simply and shortly, kind of losing attention of consumers. Because people have so many other struggles, in their lives, that climate is not always their top of mind.
Well, I really like your approach through their bill, because everyone can relate to that. If someone's watching this interview is interested to learn more or wants to get in touch with you, what's the number one best way for them to do so?
SolarSimplified.com. Our website is a very transparent website. Feel free to take a look. There's a very thorough FAQ and videos that explain how this works, and charts and stuff of that nature. There's a good section of testimonials of real customers who just quoted, agreed to be quoted on the website. And if anybody wants to reach out to me personally, Aviv at SolarSimplified.com, or my LinkedIn, Aviv Shalgi.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Aviv. I really appreciate it. And I've learned a lot. I mean, I knew much of this, but with you explaining it, it really helped very much.
Good.
And it was an education for me.
That's awesome.